With Japan's Mega Dream EX set releasing at the end of this month, we now know even more cards that should be rolled into our next special set releasing on January 29th in Pokemon TCG Live. And there's potentially 2 top-tier decks coming as a result of these new reveals. While the most degenerate among you will watch this segment and only care about the fact that we're getting a 70 hit point snow run next year, the true connoisseurs of fine taste in YouTubers will read Mega Froslass EX and their feet will start sweating. Just not when they see the second attack. That sucks. I mean, I guess in a Trapinch it could be useful, but no one in their right mind is putting 3 energy on a 3-prize Mega for 150 damage and sleep. No, what makes Mega Froslass potentially goated is Rebellion. For a single water energy, it does 50 damage times the number of cards in your opponent's hand. Thankfully, even for the math challenge viewers out there, you can count the number of cards needed to take KOs on your toes. Basically, if they have 8 cards in their hand, you're one-shotting every non-buffed Pokemon in the game, including Mega Venusaur at 380 hit points, for just a single energy. All you have to worry about is filling up their hand, and there's a few options currently available. Lucian's one of the best, as it forces your opponent to end up with either a 6-card hand, letting you deal 300 damage, or a 3-card hand, which could screw them over. Harlequin, meanwhile, is basically Lucian, except it's either a 5-card hand or a 3-card hand. Both are based on a coin flip though, and both could screw you over as well. Then there's time. If they can't read, they'll draw 4 cards. Since this is the Pokemon trading card game, half the time it'll draw them 4 cards. Of course, we also have Ino and Judge, though both are rotating at the end of March, so they'll only coexist with Froslass and Standard for about 2 months. At the start of a game, Ino forces them to draw 6, while Judge is always a draw of 4 for 200 damage. I don't recommend giving them a Golden Shower with Comfey since it's an attack and they can thin their hand on their turn. No, the absolute best way to ensure Mega Froslass EX is dealing a ton of damage is with the new Frostmoth. Its ability is the exact same as Chandelure's. Once per turn per Frostmoth, you can force each player to draw a card. Get 4 Frostmoth down, that's a guaranteed 200 extra damage each turn. Considering that most people have cards in their hand to, play the game, Froslass should be one-shotting most things most turns. And best of all, if they KO a Froslass, that's 3 cards from their prizes, aka 150 damage. So revenge KOs are almost guaranteed. Obviously, the major drawback with Froslass is that you're giving your opponent cards. Plus, it's weak to metal, so Golden Go is an auto loss. Same with Alakazam unless you run Mist Energy. Though that matchup could end up in victory if you run enough of the Baby Froslass plus either Hand Trimmer or Zoroark. Ultimately, I'm quite excited for Mega Froslass. It has a super powerful attack, and the strategy is ripe for screwing people over with Hand Trimmer and Badoo item locking. We'll have to wait and see how things shape up post-rotation for the Pokemon that reminds me of my ex-wife with how cold it is, but at the very least it should be a thing. At this early point, I'm happy to give Mega Froslass 4 toes out of 5. I did forget to give toes to Mega Electros last week, but we all know that's a 1 out of 5. Just like when I accidentally bought a Gallade Love doll instead of a Gardevoir one, the Pokemon Company is rectifying a colossal mistake with Zoroark EX. Even though it's seen success here and there in tournaments, I've always said the deck's been lacking a backup attacker to take guaranteed KOs. Cue Zekrom. Now Zoroark can copy a basic and deal 250 damage every single turn. And the only drawback is that it can't attack the following turn, a negative effect which is easily removed by Switch or Petrant EX or retreating into another Zoroark. On top of that, Zekrom has a Shred attack, meaning Mimikyu is no longer a threat. I mean, the Pokemon Company could have at least tried to hide how badly they want Zoroark to be a top deck. Instead, this is like the reverse of printing Psyduck or Battle Cage to nerf Dusknoir and Munkidori. What this means for Standard is that Zoroark has a real chance to be Tier 2 or maybe even Tier 1 in 2026. While 250 damage might be a little low, paired with Petrant EX and Binding Mochi, that turns into 290. Add Gravity Mountain, reducing Stage 2 HP by 30, now Zoroark can one-shot a Dragapult EX. And the deck can always include Munkidori for a little extra help against Megas. With the addition of Zekrom, Zoroark will have access to a guaranteed 250 damage attack, a 70 damage Shred attack, the chance to deal 400 or more damage with Powerful Rage if your opponent can't count, and a 90-90 Snipe attack. Oh, and End's PP Up is essentially a dark patch just for End's Pokemon, meaning energy acceleration isn't really a problem. Yeah, this thing will be good next year. Of course, they didn't stop there with the End's support. We're also getting another group of End's Pokemon in the Vanillux line. Because out of all the trainers who needed help, it was definitely End. I mean, screw Lily and Ino and Arven, right? Unfortunately, End's Vanillux doesn't really have a place in a Zoroark deck, as its attack doubles the number of damage counters on all of your opponent's Pokemon. Previously seen with Lunala from Celebrations, Layered Snow is obviously more suited for decks that can spread damage counters like their cheeks. Even though we now live in a world with Battle Cage, you can put Vanillux in a Froslass or Uxie or Frostmoth deck, hoping to put enough damage into play for a game-winning Layered Snow when they have one prize left. Or the truly crazy among us could pair it with Palossand EX. But even then, I think the best partner for those types of decks is the old Alakazam, who moves damage counters around, allowing you to more accurately pick your targets for 6 prizes. Realistically, there remains only a single potential partner for Vanillux, and that's Slowking. With rotation at the end of March, Slowking will lose Xatu and Reversal Energy, hurting it immensely. But using Kyurem even once, then following it up with 2 Vanillux could win you the game right there. Basically, even if rotation does destroy Slowking, the 2 months between our special set in January and the loss of every G-Block card at the end of March will be glorious for the king. I have no idea who these people are, but Anthea and Concordia give us the craziest supporter card ever printed, and also the most impractical. Get ready for your brain to hurt reading this. If you have these 6 Ends Pokemon in play and knock out their active with damage from an Ends Pokemon's attack, you get 3 extra prizes. Except 2 of the 6 are Stage 2s, and you probably didn't even know Ends Klinklang existed, it's so bad. The basics and Stage 1s are fine because they might already be included in your regular Ends Zoroark list, but the Klinklang and Vanillux mean you need to add 2 different Stage 2 lines along with a couple rare candy, all while hoping you don't prize any of the pieces you need. Obviously, Area 0 can help with the main issue of Anthea and Concordia needing bench space, but there's only room for 60 cards in your deck. Adding Area 0 and a couple Terras sounds terrible, even with Zoroark helping churn through the deck. Ultimately, as funny as it'll be to KO a Mega for all 6 prizes, aside from being a card YouTubers make clickbaity titles for, Exodia isn't actually playable. While not as needle-moving as Zen Zekrom, we are getting more trainers cards in the January special set, this time featuring Team Rocket. First up is Diglett, which is either the best or worst miller since Courtney. For a single fighting energy, you flip a coin until you get tails. For each heads, discard the top card of your opponent's deck. So it could mill anywhere from 0 to 1,000 cards. Despite that potential funness, Wugtrio and Great Tusk are still your better option for mill decks, as Diglett is just too luck-based. Then there's Dugtrio. Whenever your opponent's active moves to the bench during their turn, Dugtrio puts 2 damage counters on it, and it stacks. Put 4 Dugtrio in play, they retreat their Tatsugiri or Badoo or Dreepy, now it's knocked out. Except against something like Kangaskhan Absol, Dugtrio is actually a negative because of Munkidori. You could make an annoying confusion deck, forcing them to either flip for an attack or retreat and damage whoever gets sent back. But as long as Munkidori exists in Standard, Dugtrio can't ever really be a thing. And even when the monkey gets spanked by rotation in 2027, are you honestly going to put this Dugtrio in any of your decks? Oh, and as a brief side note, can we all agree that PTCGL is going to break when it comes to the interaction between Dugtrio and Battle Cage? Rectifying another mistake like when I accidentally texted my ex-wife instead of my Tinder date and now I have another kid on the way. We're getting Team Rocket's Honchkrow next year, meaning the Murkrow can finally evolve. Though, the only way Honchkrow becomes a playable card is with Porygon Z. For a Team Rocket's energy or Ignition energy, Honchkrow discards any number of Team Rocket supporters from hand, dealing 60 damage for each. Porygon wants as many Team Rocket supporters in the discard pile. There's definitely synergy here, especially when the Murkrow can also get a supporter or maybe buy you a turn with Torment. But Porygon's ability already discards cards from hand, so I'm not sure it really needs the help, especially considering Porygon lists don't really have room for other cards. I'll definitely try out a 1-1 or 2-2 line into Porygon deck when Honchkrow's out in January though, but like most of my Tinder dates, I have very low expectations of things going well. Finally, I'm going to show you some Hentei. Don't get too excited, it's literally just a copy and paste of the Raikou and Suicune already in Standard except for Fire Energy. To me, that's worse than Moltres, because where Entei needs 4 total Fire Energy in play to deal 120 damage, Moltres needs 1 to deal 110 to EXs. Yeah, I'm picking Moltres all day. With these new additions, provided everything lines up as expected, our January special set actually seems decent. Though that might have more to do with my expectations being low than the cards being quality. Still, Mega Froslass looks great, and then Zoroark is getting exactly what it needs to be truly competitive. We should get the full reveal of every new card coming in our January 29th special set next week, so make sure you're subscribed or else I'll make it so For the Win never puts his glorious face in thumbnails ever again.